We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good afternoon, and welcome to one of the most popular astrological radio shows on the internet. This is Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'm your host. And for the next, 2 hours, we're going to be tripping around the stars. We had a major shift in one planetary body. That's Mars. It's gone from Pisces to Aries. And maybe it's just me projecting into it, but I can feel the energy already. Mars in Pisces was just a little too humid for me, if you know what I mean. And shortly, we're going to have a stellium of planets in the sign of Aries, just like we had with Pisces and also Aquarius before it. So we're in kind of a movement of the inner planets all following one another. And I talked about this a little bit on the last show, and I definitely talked about it on Kyrie Love's show, the Cosmophysics radio program, about 2 weeks ago. And, my thoughts around this is that we're going through wholesale change. And when you get a gang of planets all moving through the same sign together pretty consecutively throughout the year for the most part, what we're doing is we're really churning and going through a lot of interpersonal change, because the inner planets are about you. The transpersonal planets like Uranus and Pluto, they have play on our lives, but they're really playing on the collective as a whole. So right now, we've all gone through a major Pisces influence and confluence in all of our charts, depending upon where Pisces was landing for you. For me, it was the fourth house, which is, trust me, opposed my North Node and my Sun and my Pluto. I'm really glad to have all this Pisces just wash back out into the cosmic ocean from whence it came. So we've got that going on, and then Mercury still retrograde. It does go direct next week, and then we'll eventually catch up with some of the signs that we'll be experiencing in Aries as well. Now, while we had this really intense Piscean rush, one of the things that happened is that the Pope stepped down. And as a result, we're in conclave now, which is, again, a very Piscean activity dominated by the age of Pisces. This is really old age, patriarchal, and I would call it negative patriarchal, religious practice and symbolism. I believe that there's a positive old age patriarch, although I haven't really been able to find it so much. I think it's probably closer to some of the Western mystery traditions, some of the Western ecstatic traditions in states, not necessarily Orthodox per se. It's interesting when you get into the realm of Orthodox religion. I find people like Thomas Merton to be quite interesting. Merton, a Cistercian monk, who eventually kind of broke from the church because of his really fond interest in Eastern spirituality, especially Zen. And Merton really kind of wrote one of the early definitive books, which is the crossover between Catholicism and Zen. Alan Watts was also another one of those individuals. Alan Watts was a Protestant minister who eventually found Eastern religion and did his best to weave a story between the two. So that's what's happening at a high level. Mars in Aries. And while it gives us a lot of energy, Mars is going to be sneaking up here really quickly on Uranus. And whenever we're dealing with Martian, aka martial energy, this whole concept of war and violence and conflict really gets stirred up. So keep your eye on North Korea and what's going on there. Also keep your eye on the Pope, because the Pope has his own Uranus in Aries. So he's going to have a Uranus return. There's a lot going on with the Pope right now. So when Mars crosses Uranus at around 7, 8 degrees, 9 degrees, things could get very interesting for the Pope. All right, so today we're also going to be blessed with a guest, and that person is LaFaye Farrar, and she's an author. She has just authored a book, a new book. I think it's getting ready to be published. It's called Twin Flames, Journey to Divine Partnership. And LaFaye, in addition to being an author, is also an astrologer, and she does readings, and she was born, apparently, according to her bio, she's born clairvoyantly and intuitively, which always helps when you're into these things. It helps you get a leg up, and then you begin to put the pieces together with some of the angles, the math, the aspects, and there you go. You've got a full person diagnostic that you can work with. But we're going to get into twin flames, and we're going to try to find out what the astrological correspondence between twin flames is, if there is any at all. So let's see. I've got 4 people waiting on hold. I'm going to see if this one is LaFaye. Let's try this number. Hello there.
Hello, Robert.
Is this LaFaye?
This is LaFaye.
Hey, I guessed right. Do I get a prize?
You sure do. You get a free copy of my book.
Yeah, that's
Journey
what
to Divine Partnership. How about that?
Well, hey, are you going to sign it for me?
I sure am, in all caps.
All right.
No, seriously, it would most definitely be a personalized signed copy just for you. And thank you so much for having me on this dynamic show. And I was just hanging on your every word during your intro. We are definitely living in, just I really don't have a word for it. This shift that we're going through.
It's like the event, what I call the event canon, right? Which is really something that we're just being spewed, these events and these circumstances, and it's just getting faster and faster and stranger, and people are having, I think, LaFaye, a harder and harder time just, trying to keep up with, their version of the Matrix 1.0, because that thing is going away. I mean, we're living in a very different world now, and people are trying to find some kind of connectivity or grounding or moorings. What's your take on all this?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you broke up there for a minute there. I don't know if it was my earpiece or what. No,
I was just trying to get your insight as to, how people, because I know you're a professional astrologer and you deal with clients. How are you experiencing people dealing with this really rapid flux of change that's happening all around us right now?
For the most part, the clients I deal with are truly making an effort to be in alignment cosmically. Mm-hmm. They are really, what we do as professional astrologers is more and more appreciated, is what I feel. People really want to know what's happening, as above, so below. And we're in a time to recreate heaven on earth. you know. But yes, you know, during this process, you know, this shifting, and there's going to be some turmoil and upheaval, you know, Pluto and Capricorn squaring Uranus and Aries, and those 7 squares. We have 5 more to go. Yeah. However, it's all about the old paradigm, you know, those old systems, you know, they have to go. Yeah. And Pluto, you know, tearing them down. But for the most part, as far as how I feel people are dealing with this, is they're doing their best. Those who are spiritually awake, you know, and I practice spiritual astrology. So most of my clients that come to me, they're searching. They have begun their path of spiritual enlightenment. So therefore, they want to be in cosmic alignment with these planetary transits, and they know that, you know, the universe is orchestrating and unfolding all that needs to happen to bring them into their desired relationship and lifestyle. And that's something that I really encourage for them to know what these transits are, make application to their birth chart, and go with the flow of the universe.
So let's take a look behind the design. Let's take a look behind the angles and the planets for a moment. When you work with a client, what is the type of energy that you're really doing your best to hook them up with, or remember, or realign with? Where are you taking people, LaFaye?
First thing I look at ultimately is their destiny, their destiny path. I want to know where that north node is. Actually, you know, as well as what the spiritual gifts are. You know, I'm looking at that. And I'm looking at what Spirit reveals to me as a clairvoyant. You know, often I may see the chart differently. You know, I don't see it just through astrological eyes, you know, and, you know, I see it clairvoyant, which is it's like a combination. I can't explain it. But, you know, often things just pop off the chart to me, and then the client just steadily confirms it. You know, so I'm able to help them reconcile with their spiritual essence. I'm able to, you know, help them if they haven't already began their, you know, or they don't already know what their destiny is. But most people have that inner, you know, that inner calling. You know, they know it's there, and right now it's stirring among people. This is the time to step up to why you incarnated. This is the time to, you know, be on your purpose path to fulfill your divine destiny.
We've got all these aspects that are literally cooking everybody, right? So we're all getting heat, we're all getting pressure, and what happens when these things happen is there can be a distillation process of, you know, what's the best about us, and sometimes what's the worst about us. When somebody's going through a hard path where they've got a number of really challenging aspects in their chart, how do you work with someone like that?
Okay, well, first of all, knowing is so empowering to that person, you know, and often, you know, they internally know, but they really can't put their finger on why, and just that alone, you know, aiding them in letting them know what their strengths are, as well as what their weaknesses are, and the things that they need to overcome, you know, those squares in their chart, those oppositions, how rather not to, you know, for the personality not to polarize, how I help them, you know, with things to bring it more into balance. But I deal with this from a spiritual perspective. You know, I practice spiritual astrology for soul growth. For me, it's all about, you know, helping people embark upon their divine destiny, to reconcile with their spiritual essence. And in regards to relationships, to determine whether they're engaging in a karmic partnership, or they're within a soulmate union, or they had a twin flame calling, you know, for twin flame reunion. So.
Right. Well, this might be a good segue to get into that and into your book. As a bridge, let's just talk a little bit about kind of what you or maybe some other astrologers would call soul-based astrology, or maybe planetary astrology, where really the chart serves as kind of a template for the refinement of the soul as it's expressed through the personality. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you experience that?
Indeed. You know, truly our birth chart is the map of our soul. And each carnation, the soul incarnates and develops a personality, takes on a personality, and the chart reveals the layers, the intricate layers of that personality for the soul to grow. And, you know, sometimes people get stuck in places. Sometimes they get stuck among those 12 houses. They don't know how to, you know, get the best benefit out of the energy of each of their houses. And that's where I come in, you know, to help them navigate through their own chart, that they may better, you know, chart their course through life.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Now, you're a Sag with Moon in Sag and Mercury in Sag, is that right?
Sun, Moon, and Mercury, indeed. Yes, and my Sun and Moon is conjunct.
Wow, so you've got a really nice blend between the masculine and the feminine, hence the twin flame experience. So let's jump off right here and let's start talking about twin flames. What allowed you, or what made you become interested in this whole concept around twin flames?
Well, before I knew what the term twin flame meant, I knew I had the call for divine partnership. And I don't know if that has a lot to do with my Libra rising, you know, partnership. However, I just knew that there was someone out there that I belonged with that was my twin, you know, literally, you know, on the soul level. I just knew this. And as I grew spiritually, upon my spiritual awakening in 2008, it's called, you know, was building up more and more. And I had my tenure of karmic partnerships, you know, for lessons to learn and teach to balance out my karma, to fulfill my karmic debt. And so that twin flame call, you know, was really ringing, you know, for me. But at the onset of launching my professional astrological career on my website, I really wasn't going so much in that area at that time. However, Spirit just began working with me, you know, more and more in that area of relationships, and just allowed me to have this ability to determine, you know, the three spiritual categories of relationship, and to work with people in severing ties in their karmic partnerships. And that Saturn and Libra transit was truly the catalyst for my book, because that was a significant time for the dissolution of karmic partnerships, strengthening of soulmate unions, and the reunion of twin flames. And we had so much significant cosmic activity, planetary transits last year that intensified the twin flame call. You know, like that, the Venus oscillation. You know, and those two new moons in 1 month.
That's right.
Gemini.
Yeah. It wasn't even a blue moon. It was like dark moons, 2 dark moons in 1 month. Yeah, and the Venus occultation with the Venus transit across the sun, absolutely. And then we had kind of a cardinal square thing going on towards the end of the year too. And Libra was involved in that as well.
Right.
Yeah. So there was a lot happening. So let's break down the 3 types of partnerships or relationships that you've been able to determine. What are those?
Okay, well, the karmic partnership, those relationships in the synastry chart that have a lot of square opposition. But those relationships tend to be the ones that we're most drawn to, because ultimately our soul knows that it needs those lessons to grow. And, you know, so we encounter these karmic partnerships. However, some people stay in them too long, and they cycle. They repeat the lessons over and over and over again.
Now, that's an interesting point. Why do you think people do that?
For a lack of ownership of their a lot of people don't want to look at themselves. People want to point the finger. But you have to work on self. And see, those karmic partners are mirrors. You know, you attracted that in your life, but you need to fix. You need to work on those very things that karmic partner is reflecting to you from their image. That's exactly what you need to work on. It may, you know, manifest itself a little different. So those relationships are really important. Yeah. But when Saturn entered Libra for that 2.5-year transit, many of us rolled up our sleeves and decided to work on ourselves to be better in our relationship. as
Right.
well as, Libra being an air sign, we were assessing, logically, what do I want in a relationship? What am I willing to give? Is this balanced? Is this fair? That type of thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I had Saturn rolling through my 11th house and hitting all my Libra planets like clay pigeons. First it was Mercury, then it was Moon, and then it was Venus. So, I had Saturn dancing back and forth around all those planets, and it was a very powerful time. And it wasn't always an easy time, especially when it was on my Moon, because I had to really deal with, women. My mother was a big piece because my father had just died, right? And so I had a lot of stuff to deal with my mother, both from kind of a logistical level with selling things, and she'd never really done anything on her own. So I had to help her find new places to live. I had to sell vehicles for her. I had to help her find a car. I mean, all these things. Saturn on my Moon, and I've never really been that close to my mother, right? So now here we are in this kind of, this arena where
relationship.
Working the stuff out, it was really powerful.
Yeah.
And I shared this with people on the air before that I had this one conversation with her that was probably the most naked and raw conversation I'd ever had with her in my life. And I think our relationship actually shifted after this conversation. And I said to her, kind of in a kind of a peak of frustration, and I said, "You're ashamed of me, aren't you?" And she basically admitted to it. But here's the kicker: the reason why is because she didn't understand what I do. And she had, she would be in these social situations with people, and they would say, "Well, my son is doing this, and my son is doing this, and my daughter's doing this." And here's my mother sitting around, "What the hell does my son do? He's an astrologer. I don't know. So it was a really good conversation for us to have, and it shifted my relationship with her, and in turn, it shifted my relationship with the feminine aspect of myself, and also women in general. So there was, to your point, there was a hell of a lot going on then.
So, Robert, you were able then to balance more of or embrace your feminine energy, to balance your personality more, with your masculine at this turning point with the relationship with your mother.
That's right, absolutely, and it was it was not easy. Let me tell you, for me to ask her that question, and sit back and wait for a response, right? It's the most primary relationship anybody can have is with their mother.
Exactly.
So, and then kind of go back and forth and go, and then go through the churn and it was a shift. It was a major shift for me, and I think for her too, because she had not had the opportunity to kind of articulate these things before, because my father was such a towering presence in her life, and now she could speak her own mind. So this was good for her too.
Well, I find it fascinating. I'm so glad you shared that with me, because, I've been, dealing with, the common partner, soulmate, and twin flame dynamic as far as romantically. But, we experience the common partners and the soulmate, our family, friends, and lovers.
Right.
Twin souls, though, they're, that's the highest order. We only have one twin flame, twin soul. But, so the working out of I want to say the karmic energy between you and your mother during that Saturn and Libra transit, I find that fascinating.
Well, it's a trip too, right? It's a trip because if you look at her chart and my chart, her sun is opposite my north node, so her sun sits on my south node, right? In the fourth house.
Wow.
And then she's got this stellium of Aries planets all opposing my Libra planets. So we're really opposites in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a trip. Hey, so that's obviously maybe a karmic relationship, but can you have, not that I'm interested, but can you have a twin soul or a twin flame relationship with a parent?
No.
Okay.
No, you cannot. No.
Okay.
Twin souls come together as lovers,
okay.
romantic mates. twin souls are the divine feminine and divine masculine of the same soul, incarnated in separate physical bodies. But when twin souls come together, it is of that type of relationship.
Right.
Of a romantic, union. Now, twin souls are not always able to actually be together physically.
I've heard that.
However, it's a soul connection, a telepathic type of situation.
Yeah, I've heard that the twin soul doesn't necessarily have to be like living under the same roof and waking up in the same covers every day. That's interesting.
But you do have to be aware of each other physically in the physical realm. But you start, the whole reunion process begins telepathically. And then the emotional, but the spiritual bond seals it. When you connect with your twin soul, whether it's on the phone, on the internet, or physical introduction, that heart chakra activates the connection. You know, and it's like when I say in my book, it's like an invisible, etheric umbilical cord between them.
Right.
And it, ignites, per se, the kundalini,
Right.
ignites between them, arises. Yeah, it's a very fascinating process, and I'm experiencing it myself. That's why I call it journey to divine partnership. But I just really love what I do in this regard. I have connected with some wonderful and assisted some just wonderful souls who have come together for, to do their part in service to humanity. And see, that's the kicker with twin flames. It's not just for, the romantic, wonderful, wonderful thing that they experience together when they are able to be together physically. Words can't describe it. Words simply can't describe the energy because it's the exact energetic essence. However, twins come together to serve humanity. And now that we've done the threshold of the new age, brotherly love, service to humanity, that Aquarian energy for restoration of paradise on earth, twin flames are the prototype for divine partnership. So more and more twin souls are actually reuniting on the physical as well.
I see.
But those who still can't, that are opposite, some twin souls are on opposite ends of the planet, but this technology is still allowing them to work together.
Let's talk about that for a second, the technology thing, okay? I mean, prior to the internet, so let's go back into the dark ages of, say, 1992. Take it back a few years before the internet first hits, 1995. Really mainstream. Then you're getting AOL, 96, this whole idea of, online community begins to sprout up, chat rooms, you name it. People would have to go through their day-to-day life and kind of live in a type of linearity. Like, let's say, for instance, you were in a relationship and maybe the relationship was not working out. Two people would end that relationship. Maybe then you would take time out, work on yourself. Then there may be another relationship in the wings. Sometimes it's not always that neat. Sometimes people collide. There could be three connections happening at once. It could be messy. Then you're working on being conscious during something like that, wounding, victimization, all those things. But they happened at a particular rate that was kind of predetermined by a physical universe without the internet. Now we have the internet come into play, and all of a sudden, you've got connections with all these people all over the world, potentially, and then you have connections on a kind of an emotional or a soul level with people on the internet that, for all intents and purposes, resembles kind of a real relationship. And you're having maybe multiple variations of this. What's your take on all this? And is this healthy? And are we working through something? I mean, this is, to me, this is kind of a mutation.
Oh, yes, it's healthy.
Mutation in relating.
Say that again, Robert.
It's a mutation in relating, in the type of relating that we're doing. It's mutating. It's morphing into something else.
Well, soul, on a spiritual level, this is where I'm always taking things. Soul families are coming together more and more, and this is all about this whole restoration of, paradise on earth. Twin souls are the parent heads of these soul families. But and the internet, the social sites, Facebook, and so many other are allowing people globally to connect. And like you said, it's soul connections as well.
Yeah.
And that's the truly beneficial thing about it. However, there's always something on a low vibration.
No, it is.
But we're merging out of this duality, though, where there's got to be, opposite end of, everything. We're merging into oneness is what it is, Robert. We're merging into oneness.
So for somebody who is not conscious or aware, somebody who's kind of on their path, how many times have you heard this story as an astrologer? Maybe it comes from a woman. I was on the computer and I saw an email exchange between my husband and an old girlfriend on Facebook. Have you heard that?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Especially couples who are not able to be together in the physical. And I'm going to tell you this now. Twin souls don't just connect and live happily ever after. You still have to, the process of reuniting with your twin soul, the first thing that has to happen is your own individual spiritual awakening and reconciling with your higher self. And some twins connect before this is, at a level that it needs to be to, to sustain a relationship, because this is very intense, overwhelming, soul connection. Therefore, karmic residue has to, be cleared, and twin souls do not share karma together. However, the karma from past lives when they were not together, they don't always incarnate together. I had a very powerful reading with psychic medium Debbie Smith, who studied under Sylvia Brown, told my twin flame and I that we had experienced 13 past lives. Mm-hmm. And this could possibly be our last one as we, do our part in service to humanity and our whole ascension process. And when twin souls connect, the ascension process is accelerated. The spiritual gifts are magnified. It's just a wonderful thing. But on the level of people who are still engaging in karmic partnership, and what's happening is people are becoming more conscious of their karma, and what needs to be done. And those who still don't want to do the work on themselves, they're stuck in the third dimension.
Right.
They're
interesting, because in a lot of ways, Facebook is almost like a honey trap. You've got these people popping out of the woodworks, and they're showing up, and all of a sudden there's the wife or the husband seeing this connection, like, well, what's going on here? And so, as a counselor and as an astrologer, how would you counsel somebody that's in a situation like that, and what would you suggest that they do if they're experiencing fear or jealousy or anxiety around somebody rediscovering a connection from their past?
I'm glad you answered it, because I get that a lot, when I'm working with people in their relationships, especially the karmic partnership. First of all, it's for a lesson. I help them to see what the lesson is for their growth. I also help them to understand you do not have to continue engaging in this type of activity, unhealthy, toxic relationship. But what it's going to take to not keep attracting that in your life is you to do the necessary spiritual work on yourself to reconcile with your higher self. You got to come from, you got to work on those lower chakras that you can, come farther. And, of course, the heart chakra is essential in component, the activation of anyone's spiritual awakening. Mm-hmm. So, that's where I work with them in those situations. I don't get into a lot of the whole dynamics of you know, he cheated on me, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm dealing with more of why are you in this? You know, opening their eyes to, you know, why they attracted the whole scenario to themselves. Often past lovers, I'm just going to say that, past lovers resurface, especially on these retrogrades, because there's unfinished business. There's still something there. Right. Or maybe we had come out of that, but then we fell off the wagon in our own behaviors. We let insecurities and fears and jealousy and stuff creep back up. So there's a situation we'll revisit. Yeah. This happened to me when I was still engaging in karmic partnerships, most definitely. And then you realize, okay, that's why I don't deal with this person. That's what I had come out of. And sometimes we just have to have those reminders of those things of which are not healthy for us. They serve no spiritual, benefit in our lives. However, they do aid the soul in growth. But we have to know when to get off that karmic merry-go-round, so it's not a cycle.
Yeah, that can be.
And often, though, if the lesson is not truly obtained, though, Robert, and you stop the cycle with one karmic partner, you're just going to attract another and take it the rest of the way. That's happened to me too.
So let's say you've rolled up your sleeves, you've done the heavy lifting, you've opened your heart chakra, you've been tested a few times, you're not being sucked into a vortex of jealousy and resentment and bitterness. You keep stepping up every time, and all of a sudden, the twin flame arrives. What's that like?
Ooh, wow, Robert. Read the book. It is just wonderful, and that's truly how it was for me. And he was simultaneously, coming out of his karmic partnership, although we had not connected yet physically, we were preparing for each other, really. And when we met, when we laid physical eyes on each other, it was just powerful. Soul recognition. When I heard his voice, it was so familiar. Mm-hmm. And we were just so drawn from each other, literally from across the room. Mm. Powerful, yes, and it just continues to grow. But we're still clearing out that karmic debris, from those past relationships. Although we've paid our karmic debt, that's why we're able to be together, Right. But we're clearing out that debris, and we're working on our spiritual bond, and our combined mission is what's coming together now.
Right. So was he open to this concept of the twin flame, or was this something that you had to explain to him?
I explained it to him. However, he was very open to the term divine partnership and what that means. And divine partnership is built on mutual love and affection, trust and respect, admiration and devotion with commitment and communication. Now, my twin flame is a Libra. He is a Sun, Mercury, and Venus Libra, very partnership-oriented.
Yeah, that's...
And we have Venus conjunct ascendant, mutual reception, as well as a Venus-Saturn conjunction. So, very strong bond.
Interesting. So Venus-Saturn conjunction. So is that Venus, let's see, is his Venus in Libra conjunct your Saturn or vice versa?
Vice versa.
Okay, so you have Venus in Capricorn, is that right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that would be conjunct his Saturn in Capricorn, right? Yeah.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this would be, that's actually very powerful. And I have always found, LaFaye, that when Venus is conjuncting Saturn, that this is a very profound relationship. And,
yes. Mm-hmm.
And one
I see it a lot in those, when I do the twin flame guidance readings and determine, because people come to me to determine for confirmation, because you ultimately, it's just an internal thing. When as a twin soul. Some people get a little confused of who the twin soul is, and need confirmation and guidance. Or one partner, as you asked, was my twin open to the concept? He had never heard of twin flames or whatever, but he knew something was very powerful between us, unlike what we had experienced before. But I see that a lot in Sun-Neptune conjunction, revealed. And we have that Sun-Neptune conjunction in our chart. Not Sun-Neptune conjunction in our chart, but in our combined, not in our synastry, but in our combined part.
In your
profile.
composite
I do
chart,
both.
Sun-Neptune.
Excuse me?
In your composite chart.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of different factors, and there's no, set blueprint for what twin souls share. But there's some truly key indicators, and I share many of the aspects between Jock and I in my book, as well as many aspects between ourselves and our previous karmic partners, so people can get a real idea of the difference.
Right. So, without giving away the entirety of the book, can you give people maybe one or two potential indicators astrologically of a really strong connection that might reveal a twin flame connection?
Okay. Well, one of our most powerful connections, and the personal planet, number one, in good aspect to one another, as well as how Saturn. If Saturn is not well aspect to the personal planet, that's an indicator of karmic union. Point blank period, right off, the bat. But I have come into, and just recently did a reading where one Saturn was in poor aspect to the other, but then the other Saturn was well aspect, kind of like where they could bring balance to that.
Yeah.
But if Saturn's, poorly aspected to the personal planets, but Doc and I have moon conjunction, and that's truly powerful in relationship compatibility, whether it is of a romantic, nature or not. That moon conjunction, as well as, like I said, Saturn being well aspected with the personal planets between, the two parts, especially for twin souls, because twin souls do not share karma. There's no karma between them, no karmic debt or karmic lessons to be attained with twin souls.
Yeah.
They picked up that karma. The karma is the process when the souls split and we go on and experience life, separately.
Right.
And the embodiment of the divine masculine and the embodiment of the divine feminine, that type thing. But, I'm going through here. Actually going through the book. We have a lot of powerful conjunctions. And Neptune are well aspected, also. But, definitely the personal planets just really, conjunction, sextiles, and trines make up for divine partnership. And see, divine partnership is also cultivated between soulmates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Saturn, I guess, would be one of the main indicators when determining twin flames, though.
Right.
Because even soulmates can, have some karma to work through together.
So we're in Saturn and Scorpio right now. In fact, it's going retrograde, and will do so until it hits 4 degrees and then moves forward again. In the realm of relationship, how do you see Saturn and Scorpio, especially retrograde, getting played out now?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you answered that question, because actually my next book, Saturn and Scorpio Transit in the 8th House, is the catalyst for that one, which I'm calling Passionate Partnership and Sacred Sexuality. Now, for twin souls, the Saturn and Scorpio Transit, and for soulmates as well, that's on the high vibration of trying to develop divine partnership, that is just so important. Saturn, we done went from the house of relationships to partnerships to the key of those relationships, and who are still engaging in karmic partnership with Saturn's all in your face now, because Saturn's dealing with sex, your money, intimacy, those type things, and those are 3 things that really, can shake up relationships. and it's shaking up a lot of them. And during this retrograde cycle, sexual secrets, infidelities and things like that are being revealed, especially because it's trine Mercury in Pisces retrograde.
Right.
And but on a higher level, for the development of sacred sexuality, and twin souls share sacred sexuality. It's multi-orgasmic, and even soulmates can attain that to a certain level, because soulmates do, help each other balance certain chakras together. But with twin souls, all the chakras align and with one another, and that kundalini just rising is like touching heaven, literally.
Yeah.
The experience. And I have that on my website, and I think I put it in the book too. It's just really
yeah
thing.
Yeah, the conscious application of sacred sexual energy is really a remarkable energy, and it's very different than sexual gratification at kind of a conscious level, right? I mean, you're using that energy in a way that can really fuel and help build two lives, or one life as two, right?
Exactly. And when twin souls come together in, physical union and sexual union, that's when the soul is truly whole for that time. But more and more as the twin souls come together, physically, the soul is merging. But in those moments, when they share, sexual union, it's just powerful because the soul is whole, during that time. I just wanted to share with you another aspect between my twin flame and I is we have Saturn sextile Saturn. So we have Venus Saturn conjunction Saturn sextile Saturn. So which is, truly indicated that, we don't have any that conflict between us, and we have Neptune trine Saturn.
That's really powerful. And as an astrologer, I would certainly validate the completeness of you two being together with those aspects. Those are very powerful aspects for sharing a life.
Indeed.
Yeah, well,
and with the karmic partners, our Saturns was poorly aspected. I'm scrolling through the book, trying to remember it. So many squares that I shared with mine and he shared with his, and it's like we both realized we stayed too long. We were on that merry-go-round. We were repeating a lot of lessons until we both took control, ownership of what we needed to work on within ourselves. And we were simultaneously doing this, Robert, with no face or name to each other. No connection physically with one another. But we were simultaneously, our whole growth cycle, for coming together for the reunion was just so parallel in what he and I was. We had a conversation last night about so many similarities of what he was dealing with, his marriage, and what I was dealing with in my marriage of karmic partnerships. Now, I endured 2 marital karmic partnerships because I left one, but I picked that mess back up because, I didn't grow. I wasn't, doing the spiritual work on myself.
Right.
Now his was of a longer duration. He just stayed in the same one 20 years. I was in one 13 years, married for 8 in that one, but I had met that person when I was 13 years old, and I just knew they were my soulmate.
Wow.
It wasn't until after we got married and he was my karmic partner, but I didn't have any, knowledge of, these spiritual categories or relationships at that time. But then I took a 5-year break and did some dating. Experienced a couple of, soulmates, I want to say, and then entered another karmic situation.
Right. Right.
For another 13 years. So I have a total, tenure of 26 years.
So you did your
karmic partnership.
2 cycles of 13. That's interesting.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like having some kind of hard stops symbolically to get you to wrap your head around the fact that something is over with the number 13.
Right.
One of the things that you mentioned just a moment ago is this whole concept of infidelity and people having their shit revealed with Saturn and Scorpio retrograde. And I think what potentially could be very good about this whole process is that I believe it's in July. I just have to make sure, but I believe it's in July. That's when we get into that grand trine with Scorpio, Jupiter, Sun in Cancer, and Jupiter in Cancer, and also Neptune in Pisces. And I think that this is a very much needed period for us, because it's almost like we're going through a desert, and this grand trine time is an oasis, kind of in the desert.
Ooh, wow, I love how you make that analogy. I just got chills. Yes, yes.
That's good. So I think also too, LaFaye, that if there are people that have experienced hurt or betrayal or resentment as a result of this kind of revelatory energy with Saturn and Scorpio retrograde, that oasis to me is almost like a bubble of compassion and forgiveness. And it could be there, if there's this conscious kind of awareness where people could just say, I forgive you for whatever you've done, I think that there could be some really tremendous healing that takes place during that time.
Yes, and not to mention, Chiron is conjunct Neptune too.
Yep.
When we have this, a lot of emotional wounds too are coming to surface during this retrograde of Mercury and Pisces and Saturn and Scorpio, both of them retrograde, trining each other, and these sexual secrets and infidelity. This things coming to surface, but it's for the healing process, most definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, listen, we've got about 10 minutes left here. Do you want to take a phone call or two for some people?
Sure. I want to tell you this too. Two of the hard squares between me and my common partner. One was the Moon square Mercury. The other was Sun square Mercury. Mercury is really important to communication. Mercury square Mercury, Mars square Venus, Sun square Pluto, Moon square Pluto. I mean, it was rough.
Hey, Mars square Venus is great makeup sex.
Well, yeah, and you know what? But it's so carnal. It was just so physical gratification, and it cannot sustain a relationship.
I know, it's true.
But,
I hate you. Let's go to bed. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So let's before we take some calls, let's tell people where they can find you. Where can they find you, LaFaye?
They can find me at readingsbylafaye.com, and LaFaye is spelled Lafaye. I'm also on King at Loving LaFaye.
Oh, you do a Keen stint, so that's cool. Good for you.
And also I have another website because, I'm on featured on the Heaven Speak show every Tuesday, which airs on Blog Talk Radio, Inner Child Radio, the Heaven Speak show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday. I do current cosmic events, and I give free minute readings to callers, second half of the show. And that website is heavenspeak.yolasite.com. And, of course, you can find me on Facebook, and I have finally made it to Twitter. So follow me on Twitter, Lovin' LaFaye.
Okay. How do you do your free readings? Do you do a full chart, or how does that work for you?
No, I do the cards. I just do my clairvoyance with those because it, keeps it moving. Sometimes I'll pull up a chart, but mostly so I can accommodate it, take as many calls as, I can. I use the cards. I use the karma cards. It's a 3-card spread. It's a planet, sign, and house. And I love those cards.
Hey, so would you be into doing a couple of readings?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So why don't we do this? We got a lot of people that are stacked up waiting to they're either listening or they're waiting to get in talk. So why don't we do this? Let's take about 3 or 4 readings with folks. And by the way, if you want to find out about LaFaye's book, Twin Flames, Journey to Divine Partnership, they can do that on your website as well, right?
Right. There's a page dedicated to the book, and innerchildpress.com. You can find the book as well.
Okay. So let's
now, are we going to go into overtime, Robert?
Yeah, we could go over. That's fine. Yeah. So let's.
Okay, it's fine with me, but I know we only had a few minutes, and you said we were going to get calls in.
No. Look, the second part of the show is about free readings anyway. So let's bring you into the mix here. Let's give people a taste of your magic, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's take this call that's coming from the 646. When I call you, just be ready and state your name and where you're calling from, and what you want to talk with LaFaye about. Here we go, 646. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. This is Tony calling from Brooklyn. Just excellent conversation. I guess I was just calling about career information.
All right. Hi, Tony. And I want you to take a deep cleansing breath, and then, because I want you to get heart center, and breathing is the best tool to get out of the head and into the heart. And then I want you to give me a number between 1 and 12.
6.
6. Okay. Remember to take that deep cleansing breath for me. Get the cards in position. And you said career. The 6th house is everyday work routine. What I see a change coming up for you in that area, but you got to focus on a different way of looking at things. You got to change some attitudes from your past to move forward. But I definitely see your creativity coming forth. What do you do for a career?
What I'd like to do is write and teach.
This is a great time for you.
Uh-huh.
Creatively, yes. And I see a change. I see you getting a breakthrough.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Tony. Thanks for listening. You want to be back on hold?
Yes, I want to listen. Thank you.
Okay, no worries, man. All right, so let's go to the Skype caller. Hold on, let's go to 512. This might be. Let's find out who this is. Hello to Austin, Texas. Who is this?
Hi, it's Megan.
Hey,
of
Megan.
course. Hi. I just love her voice. I love this whole show. It's been really great.
Thank you.
So I could use a little of your magic.
Okay. And you said Megan?
Mm-hmm.
Take a deep cleansing breath and give me a number between 1 and 12.
11.
Okay. What's on your mind? What's in your heart?
I would say, I guess, career, a general insatisfaction, maybe bigger than career.
Okay. Okay, let's see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see you in a position to make more money. I see your resources increasing, and a turnabout is coming. You're going to get a turnabout, but you really got to trust your intuition for this thing to to unfold to your benefit. But it's a situation you got to stir it up a little bit, and of course exercise patience. But your dreams are coming into manifestation.
Oh, really?
So keep the faith. Keep the faith.
So trust
for real. And is it a turnaround? Because it feels sort of dark right now, but I have a sense that it really is one of those around the corner things.
Right,
is that what
it
you're
is.
saying?
I'm so glad you're so in tune because this is exactly what it is. So don't turn around now. That's why I said keep the faith. Keep the faith because you're right there at a breakthrough as well. But you gotta stir it up a little bit, and that's truly where your faith comes in too. See, sometimes when we don't act at all, that's like an act of faith. And remember, faith without works is dead. So you're gonna have to stir the pot a little bit, but you have the potential to have more money. I mean, if it's a case of asking for a raise, do it.
Okay. I work for myself, so
Oh, okay.
maybe it's some cosmic thing that'll happen.
Yeah,
but
ask for a raise
Or
for
maybe,
yourself.
is there an investment you can make that will in turn, increase your business, or something like that. But there is, some resources that you can tap into that's gonna, do well for you, or something that's gonna create more resources for you, more money your way.
I love it. Would you say, Robert, should I ask the universe for a raise?
For yourself, yes.
Indeed, I'm asking for one.
Ask the big guy. Yeah, go right to the
sure.
top. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
I'll
Peace
put you
and
back
love.
on hold, okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay. By the way, Megan has been going through a very challenging period with a cat who she's had for 20 years, and the cat has been kind of on the edge of, this world and the next for the last couple of weeks. It's been very...
You said how long ago was the cat?
20.
Good gracious. Wow.
I know.
Okay.
Amazing, huh?
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time to bond with your pet.
It is.
So,
That's a
Megan,
very long time
wishing
to have
you-
as a companion, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's go way out to my old stomping grounds in the 5 and Dime. We're going to go to the 510 right now. Let's bring you right on and talk with LaFaye.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, it's Camille.
Hey, Camille.
Hi. Okay, so my question is also career.
Hi, Camille. Okay,
Hi,
if you would, take a deep cleansing breath and give me a number between 1 and 12.
7.
7? Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a specific question about your career?
Yes, I am marketing myself as a guidance counselor and image consultant. And just what is the energy? How's that looking like?
Okay. Guidance counselor and what consultant?
Image consultant.
Image consultant. Okay. So it's kind of like you do both. You're capable of both, or you're trying to incorporate them together?
I am very capable of both.
Okay, well, first of all, I see it going well for you. Just work on your message. Just work on, how, you market yourself. Just, work on your message. But I see you really achieving. I see, your career on an upswing. And also, I see you doing some traveling.
Okay.
Traveling. That would be nice for you, Camille.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You could
I see you doing some traveling. So, prepare for that. But truly keep communicating your goals. It's like what you're supposed to be doing. You're so in tune with your destiny, and what you should be doing, and you're a very talented person,
right.
and you're a hard worker. You're dedicated for your success. You're dedicated, and you want to be a important business person. You want to do your thing big. So just continue to work on it. Just continue to develop it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Camille. Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's just take a couple more here. Let's go to let's go into the internet via Skype. Hi there. You're on with LaFaye.
Hi, LaFaye and Robert. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My name is Brittany. I'm calling from California. And I'm calling to, I intuitively feel my twin flame close to me. And I just kind of wanted to know, or just whatever you see and pertains to that.
Okay. Because I was going to say, the twin flame, that's something that's a lot more complex than these
I
cards will reveal. But, I do a twin flame guidance reading. And, you can go to my website and check that out. And, it's really been beneficial, to a lot of twin souls. And that's truly, what my desire to do because of and one reason I wrote the book to be a guide you know, based on my personal experiences, you know, and my professional, you know, abilities in working with people, but to be a guide in this whole reconciliation process and what a twin soul connection is, and what separates it from, you know, karmic partnership and soulmate. So take a deep cleansing breath and give me a number between 1 and 12.
11.
Okay. The other caller chose 11 as well. So you're just feeling the energy of your twin soul, no name or face?
Yeah, no name or face, but I definitely feel the energy. I've had the Kundalini awakening.
Yes, that's how it was for me.
Yeah, I've gone through the violet flame of transmutation. Everything.
Oh, like wonderful! I had that in my book. Yes, yeah, great.
Feel and the forgiveness, and I feel there.
And what's your name again?
Brittany.
Brittany. Okay. Are you on Facebook, Brittany?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was going to say find me on Facebook because I posted some links where you can, you know, get a preview of my book. And one chapter is about the violet flame, and I have the violet flame invocation for twin souls in there as well. Oh, yes. This is a real spiritual time for you. You've been doing a lot of spiritual work on yourself. You, like, put down the ego, which is essential.
Yes.
You know, ultimately you've been reconciling with your higher self. You've been sorting, excuse me?
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah, you've been sorting through, you know, the confusion of whatever you experienced in other relationships, and truly it's like you're hearing the call now.
Yes.
You're hearing the call. So, you know, he's out there. When you hear the call, you know, he's out there. He has incarnated at this time as well. And I see you all truly coming together, and you have a wonderful mission together in dealing with health.
Health?
Health and wellness, would be part of you all's combined work together. What do you do currently?
I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm an actress.
You're an actress, okay. Well, I definitely see you all, or maybe you all will be focusing, I just see this. But like I said, the twin flame thing is more complex. I would definitely love to do your combined partners profile, you know, and that's truly where I use that and aiding people to know what their mission is and you know, the past lives are shared and things like that. But, and I see you have a lot of confidence now, more confidence than you may previously had, and you're in a position to inspire others. But ultimately, you've done a lot of spiritual work on yourself, a lot of growing. So, yeah, you're in a place to really answer that call. So,
wow.
You know, he may tap you on your shoulder any day now.
Oh, my gosh, that's so amazing. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
And Brittany, if you want more info and maybe even working with LaFaye more closely on this, because it sounds like you're really in the flow here, you should maybe share her website. You know, might be a good thing.
Can I get the website again? Because I would love to work with LaFaye directly. Yeah.
And I definitely encourage you to get a copy of the book because, you know, it's all about that reunion process. Reading by LaFaye, LaFaye.com.
LaFaye. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'll be contacting you.
Thanks, Brittany.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So this totally off. I was in the chat room a little bit, just kind of peeping in there, and they were talking about.
Let me look in. I don't think I'm in the chat room.
They were talking about actors in the chat room, and they were talking about Colin Farrell. I couldn't quite catch the thread, but it reminded me of this time back in the day when I was a tarot reader, and I had this woman who was a client who was convinced that her soulmate was Kevin Sorbo, who was the guy who played, what was he, Hercules on TV?
Mm-hmm.
And she was convinced that this guy was her soulmate. and that they were going to be together, and it was it was a little. I mean, I didn't want to be judgmental, but it was like, you know, he is just a TV character. You understand that, right? I mean,
excuse me.
There's a very strong chance he might even be gay, in which case this thing may not work, you know, which he's not. But it's funny how we have these perceptions of people, especially through the media, that we project onto them. And as a practitioner reader, it was a delicate sort of moment. But then, or a series of.
I know you were tickled.
Well, but then she got mad at me. She got mad at me because I couldn't make this connection happen. You know, it was very strange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a little bit more than I could handle. It was one of those times where I decided to end the client-practitioner relationship. So let's take a couple more calls here. If you've just got a few more readings in you, let's clear the lines. Let's go 208-757-857. Let's bang these lines. And then we'll get some clear insight for you from LaFaye, and then we'll transition to the second part of the show today. Here we go. You're on the air.
Hi, Robert. Hi, LaFaye. I was really intrigued. This is the gardener from Idaho. I was really intrigued when you opened up by talking about the North Node and looking in people's charts for its degree and positioning. I have an interesting situation, and I don't know if it's twin flame, soulmate, but it's my son was born exactly on my North Node. I think it was a second off, degree-wise. And he and I have got several pretty clashing aspects. We both have Sun square Saturn, a mutual reception. And
Sun square Saturn, both. Oh wow, that's
yes. His is in Pisces on my Sun.
Yeah.
I'm a Pisces squaring his. My Saturn's in Sag. So yeah, we have that mutual reception. But the North Node, and it's in my 6th house, and my son was born exactly on it. And also,
well,
I
tell
was
you
having.
What that is with the North Node. You know, let me give it to you as I'm saying it. Okay. Is that you all have come together in this incarnation as mother and son to clear all that up. It's part of, so that you can, you know, truly move ahead, you know, in your destiny. You and your son have had a couple of past lives together, karmically, however. And so you come together in a more closer union, like mother and son. You in the past lives you have been, you know, lovers or something like that, you know, but you come together in this incarnation as mother and son to clear this thing out.
Okay. Well, yes, we have the clashings of the mutually receptive Sun square Saturns, and it makes it hard to express our love for each other. I mean, he's really like my North Node, my reason for being in my 6th house. And also, when he was born, I had...
I like the way you termed that, yeah.
I had my Uranus opposition, so at 39.
Do you have a question? You know, do you want me to turn the cards for something?
Well, yes, I would like to. I'm in a process of rebirthing, which Robert's helped me with a lot, and I'm very appreciative of him. And so my question is, like, you know, rebirth.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Take a deep cleansing breath and give me a number between 1 and 12.
8.
Okay. Ooh, that's Scorpio's house. Rebirth. Transformation. 8th house. Yeah, you're on that energy. Most definitely. So Robert's been working with you in your spiritual awakening process?
Yes, he's been a good male energy help to me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm looking at relocation, resetting up, everything. New.
Oh, wow, yeah. Rebirth, definitely. You have been reborn. Yep. Wow. Yes. You have been, I would love to know, experience your energy prior to now, because it should be quite different than, what you were emanating before. But yeah, spiritual awakening. You're in a spiritual enlightenment phase that will be a continued phase once we become spiritually awake. We are, continuing on our enlightenment path, but your vision will become clearer and clearer of what you're here to do. You are in a position to inspire others. There are some sacrifices that have to be made along the way, but it's ultimately for your greater good. So when you come into a position where you feel that you have to sacrifice yourself, don't do it reluctantly. Embrace it because it's truly for your higher good.
Oh, good.
And
yes,
you've been doing a lot. Excuse me?
I have been working on it pretty 24/7 for quite a while.
And you're doing a lot of nurturing of your inner child, which is great. And you're much more lighthearted now. You're learning to have some fun, aren't you?
I hope so. I'm looking for peace and fun, actually.
Wonderful. That's what I see. That's what I see, and it's there for you. And work on your. See that you have some creativity in you. What do you do in the arts?
I'm an artist. I actually do portraits, and it came to me this morning as my son's a senior in high school. I have to realize my timing is always perfect, but I could still fit in a couple of portraits of the seniors in his class, especially the kids I know pretty well. And he's been really begging me to start drawing, get it going. I've had so much conflict kind of like diverting me from it. But he's been really...
I see the confusion. I see some confusion right now, but you really need to push that forward because this is a really good time for you, to do that.
Creatively?
Mm-hmm. Creatively.
Or just, I mean, we're really on a major pivot point right here, and I went through a bunch of his toys, my son's toys, the other day, and it made me feel so good to see all his little beanies and all his little toys he loved so much when he was little, and now he's, an adult, and it went by really fast. So that really stirred me creatively, just seeing all his little toys and all his little beloved little things that he had, sorting out to pack it up. So thank you.
Hey, thanks.
You are most welcome. And just keep in mind, the more that you connect with your higher self, the more your son is going to grow too, because of this karmic thing between you guys, and that karma is dissolving. It is dissolving in this incarnation.
I came across this spell about removing all vows and covenants and oaths and orders the other day.
I recommend invoking the violet flame. That's great for transmuting karma. I don't know, I really don't get into spells and rituals and things like that, but invoking the violet flame will be, definitely beneficial, transmuting karma. But you're in a good place, so.
Good. That's very positive. Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Mm-hmm. Hey, thank you. Take care.
I am.
Okay. Ciao.
Thanks.
All right. So let's do this. Let's put a little break on the calls for a moment, and just want to thank you, LaFaye, for calling in and being a part of today's show and sharing your very interesting information around twin flames. I got to tell you, it was like gas. It was like kerosene on the estrogen in the chat room. Everybody, oh yeah, it's like there's a lot of estrogen flowing around in there today. So I want to thank you for getting everybody all fired up. It was a lot of good information. So readings by LaFaye is where they can find you, right? ReadingsbyLaFaye.com.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and we'll have you back on sometime, maybe when you have your next book out on Saturn. How does that sound?
All right. Okay. And, I don't usually get to tune into your show live, but I'm all over your past episodes. I go to your page and download them often, as well as I love your website. Your writing, wow, you are just so perceptive on, where we are at this time on the collective of humanity, shifting to the new age. So I appreciate you, Robert.
Appreciate you too, LaFaye. You do good work, and wish you nothing but the best for you and your twin flame, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, that was LaFaye Farrar, and she is the author of a new book, Twin Flames Journey to Divine Partnership. It's the story about her and her twin flame, how they met, and what it is to experience the twin flame union. And if you want to find out more, again, it's readingsbylafaye.com. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play a little bit of music, and we're going to have about 35 minutes left in the show, and I'm going to be doing some live readings on my own. And since it was his birthday yesterday, why don't we play a little? Play a little Stephen. Let's see, a little Michael Hill, a little Michael Lee Hill here. Let's see if we can do this. Testing 1, 2, 3. Absolutely scorching guitar jam. So this is a testing 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Michael Lee Hill, 3/11. That's his birthday. And I'll be back here on the other side of this track in 3 minutes and 6 seconds. And I'll be doing live readings as well. All right, here we go, Michael Lee. Hi, that was Michael V. Hill in testing 1, 2, 3. Apparently, there's been a new pope chosen. Just got word of that in the chat room, thanks to Sangreal. And this is from the New York Times, 3/13/13, an interesting day. White smoke has arisen from the makeshift chimney on the Sistine Chapel on Wednesday night. So we have white smoke coming from the Sistine Chapel. Conclave has been determined, and there is a new pope. Here's the story of Vatican City, with a puff of white smoke from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, and to the cheers of thousands of rain-soaked faithful, a gathering of Catholic cardinals picked a new pope from among their midst on Wednesday. The name of the new pope, the 266th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, by tradition would not be revealed until he appeared on a balcony on the front of St. Peter's Basilica. He inherits a church wrestling with an array of challenges that intensified during his predecessor, Benedict XVI, from a priest shortage and growing competition from evangelical churches in the Southern Hemisphere, where most of the world's Catholics live, to a sexual abuse crisis that has undermined the Church's moral authority in the West, to difficulties governing the Vatican itself. Benedict abruptly ended his troubled 8-year papacy last month, announcing he was no longer up to the rigors of the job. He became the first pontiff in 598 years, that was the 11th century if you're counting, to resign. The 115 cardinals who were under the age of 80 and eligible to vote chose their new leader after 2 days of voting. That's a very short period of time, by the way. Before beginning the voting by secret ballot in the Sistine Chapel on Tuesday, in a cloistered meeting known as a conclave, cardinals swore an oath of secrecy in Latin, a rite designed to protect deliberations from outside scrutiny and protect cardinals from earthly influence as they seek divine guidance. The conclave followed more than a week of intense, broader discussions among the world's cardinals, where they discussed the problems facing the Church, and there were criteria for its next leader. We spoke among ourselves in an exceptional and free way with great truth about the lights, but also about shadows in the current situation of the Catholic Church. Cardinal Christoph Schönborn of Vienna, a theologian known for his intellect and his pastoral touch, told reporters earlier this week. The Pope's election is something substantially different from a political election, Cardinal Schönborn said, adding that the role was not the chief executive of a multinational company, but the spiritual head of a community of believers. Indeed, Benedict was selected in 2005 as a caretaker after the momentous papacy of John Paul II, but the shy theologian appeared to show little inclination toward management. His papacy suffered from crises of communication with Muslims, Jews, and Anglicans. That, along with sex abuse crisis that raged back to life in Europe in 2010, evolved into a crisis of governance. So it's going to be interesting to find out very quickly here who the next pope will be. And it is taking place on a day. Let's get into the stars. Let's find the stars around the Pope, the new Pope. Let us look into the future and see what it brings us. This Pope will be reigning under the influence of Mars. Mars, as it is in the sign of Aries. Actually, Mars is in the sign of Aries, and the moon in Aries as well. So Aries is going to play a predominant role in the legacy of the final pope. Oh, did I say final pope? Certainly the next pope. Interesting day today, birthday-wise. It is the birthday of L. Ron Hubbard, who is the High Pope of Scientology. Another interesting birthday today is the, let's see who else. We've got L. Ron Hubbard. There's somebody else here. I know there is. I've done this day before. Well, the great mystic Mircea Eliade, birthday today as well. And let's see, anybody else? L. Ron Hubbard. Today is Richard Knoll's birthday as well. Richard Knoll is an interesting character. He's an astrologer and the publisher of Star Tech. So it's his birthday today. There we go. But L. Ron Hubbard, the Pope of Scientology. There's a really interesting book on L. Ron Hubbard's life, and it's written by his son. If you ever have a chance to hunt this book down, get it. It will give you some absolutely startling insight into the life and times of L. Ron Hubbard. What he basically, his son was basically an MK Ultra kind of project and experiment unto himself. I think by the time his son had reached the age of 15, he'd had almost every drug known to man at that time. And I'm talking sort of recreational psychedelic drug given to him by his father. And he saw the inner workings of Scientology in a very intimate fashion. And he talks about this one time where Hubbard, Ron, Captain Ron, as they called him, he brought this woman into his office, and he had her take her clothes off and lay down on the floor of his office. Hubbard was a large man, by the way. I don't know if you ever saw pictures of him. Big dude. Anyway, he laid down on this woman with his clothes on. Not with his clothes off, with his clothes on for a long time. Like, we're talking a couple hours. And he didn't do anything. He just laid there. And the woman said that right around the first hour, she felt like she was beginning to lose her mind. And what Hubbard was doing is he was practicing a form of magic where he was literally trying to suck her essence into him, and was actually doing a pretty good job of doing that. He did all kinds of crazy shit like that. He was a dark magician. He studied with Jack Parsons. And the movie The Master is about L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons being the Joaquin Phoenix character in the movie, and Philip Seymour Hoffman being the L. Ron Hubbard character of the film. So if you want kind of an interesting insight, albeit cinematically, into their relationship, you can watch The Master, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Let's look at Ron's chart just for a second. I just want to see what he's got here. He's got an interesting chart. He's almost got like a Star of David in his chart. It's almost it's a slightly less aligned Star of David going on, but he's got a major Grand Trine. You know that Grand Trine is in water. Jupiter in Scorpio, 11th house, trining Neptune in Cancer in the 7th. And all connecting up with Mercury and the Sun conjunct in Pisces in the 3rd. The squares and the challenges in Hubbard's chart are, let's see, Pluto. Yes. Pluto with Sun. Power. And also Mars, Uranus conjunction squaring Saturn, which is immense frustration. Very Aquarian. Ron was a very Aquarian dude. Mars in Aquarius and Uranus in Capricorn. So it's out of sign conjunction, which apparently creates kind of a notorious character, notorious figure. Mars opposite Neptune, and we know Mars opposite Neptune indicates troubles with substances, alcohol, drugs, you name it. So there we go, L. Ron Hubbard, his birthday, the Pope of Scientology today. And today on 3/13/13, we have the arrival via white smoke of the new Pope. All right, well, I made myself available to do readings for people on the back end of the track. People left. And I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to wind the show down and give myself the afternoon off. So if you are listening to this and you are a subscriber to the newsletter, just know that I am working feverishly on the next newsletter. There's so much information out there that I'm trying to cull it all and pull it all together. There's a lot going on. Keep your eye on California, by the way. Major earthquake activity heating up in the Ring of Fire. March and April, typically significant earthquake months. It's been determined via computational analysis based on a number of earthquakes that have been programmed over the last 10 years. It's a major database, and the evidence overwhelmingly suggests that March and April are two of the most active earthquake months on the planet. So take that into consideration. They had a pretty significant tremor in Los Angeles not long ago, and what we're seeing is kind of a precursor in terms of, how do I share this with you? Propaganda, for lack of a better term, programming. People are being told that this is going to happen. So whether or not you want to hold that fear in your consciousness is up to you. All I can tell you is that the Ring of Fire is heating up. March and April are considered to be significant earthquake months, and there's a lot of energy pointing towards California at present, specifically the southern part. So if you live in Southern California and you're hearing this, make sure you have plenty of water on hand. That's the biggest thing, plenty of water. The other thing with an earthquake in Southern California and Los Angeles, the one thing that you're going to need to watch out for is civil unrest, which could be huge, could be completely off the charts. So just make sure that you're also in a secure place, that you have enough food to last you at least 2 weeks, which could be a period of destabilization for the greater Los Angeles area. It looks like somebody decided to call in before I shoved off here and maybe wanted to get a reading for themselves and see who they are. Hello there.
Hi there.
Hi, who's this?
Kathy.
Hey, Kathy, where are you calling from?
Maryland.
Have you called the show before?
I think it's been a while.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe about 6 months or more.
Yeah, okay. Well, it sounds like you're maybe due for a little reading or something. What's on your mind today?
I thought maybe you could give me any messages.
Any messages? Okay. So what is your birthday?
12/13/53.
12/13/53. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking at the ephemeris here. 12/13/53. Okay, Sun in Sag. Looks like you've got Moon in Pisces, Mercury Sag, Venus Sag, Mars Libra, Jupiter Gemini, Saturn Scorpio. So you're going through your Saturn return. Did you know that?
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So what was your life like between the age of 28 and 30?
Oh my goodness. Not very good.
Okay. What wasn't good about it?
I think I was lonely.
You were lonely. Okay. So did you have an opportunity to enter into a relationship at that time and you chose not to? Or
no.
what was
somebody broke off with me.
Somebody broke off with you, and that facilitated your loneliness?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a result of that, what other area of your life was impacted? Did you work more? How did you deal with that?
I was living at home at the time, and I hated my job, and I didn't know what I wanted to do.
And how did you resolve that by the time you got to 30, or did it get resolved?
I got a job here in Washington, D.C., so I moved.
Okay, so you moved, you got a job, and how did that work out for you?
Great.
Okay, so what you did with your Saturn return, because you have Saturn in Scorpio, and what happened was that you essentially had to deal with loss. Scorpio is life and death and rebirth. So for you, the loss would have been the connection and feeling lonely because you had a relationship that ended. But as a result of that, you had a very powerful rebirth moment, which is when you moved out and then you found a job. This is the energy of Scorpio. This is how Scorpio works. It works through loss, redemption, rebirth, and rebuilding. And Saturn is it's the frame set, and it gives you the gravity and the compression in order to make this happen. Well, later this year, Saturn will return to your natal Saturn. This will be the last. It's already been here. Saturn was on your Saturn in November. Okay, so what were things like for you in November, December of this year?
Actually, starting last February, I had the spiritual awakening.
Okay.
And I just feel like it's just moving along now.
Just moving along. So would you say that you're in the flow? Is that it?
Yeah, it's a little slow, but I'm in the flow.
Okay. So the Saturn return, the second Saturn return, in my estimation, would be that the one missing piece that you had during that time of your rebirth, between 28 to 30, is the emotional piece, or the connection, or the not feeling lonely. So when we get to, let's see, 4 degrees, 5 degrees, let's just go there right now.
Actually, I picked up this guy that he really, really liked me, and I didn't like him, and I just filled the void for the time being back then.
Uh-huh. So it looks to me like in July of this year, it's going to be an interesting time for you because Saturn will be at 5 degrees, and it'll be the last pass of your Saturn over your natal Saturn, at which point it moves forward, and it doesn't go back to 5 degrees again. So theoretically, you'll be over your Saturn return quite quickly.
So is that a good thing?
Well, I think so. I mean, it depends on kind of, because it seems to me, the thing with Saturn returns is that if you quote unquote live the design and do the right thing, then you don't really have a lot to work out in the second go round. It's the people that had a hard time during their first Saturn return that didn't pick up on what they were supposed to do. They're the ones that have more heavy lifting later in life to deal with their Saturn return. So for you, it's going to be more about building than tearing down. And are you currently in a relationship or connected with anybody?
Yeah, I'm married now.
You're married now. Okay.
But I'm working on this.
Hi, this is Sarah.
I'm working on this spiritual thing.
The spiritual thing. Okay.
Well, I'm investigating. I'm a Reiki master now.
Right.
So the spiritual journey, I should say.
So the Saturn in Scorpio at 5 degrees, when it hits your natal Saturn, should theoretically give you deeper insights and kind of a more profound layer of awareness around the power of life and death and rebirth. If you are doing Reiki and all the light touch modalities are very scorpionic, because Scorpio, the energy of Scorpio is magnetic, and it works with subtle energies. So theoretically, it could be a deepening for you and getting closer to the energy itself, so that you would be. It wouldn't be like you would do the Choku ray or whatever it is, and have to do the little symbols, but that you would be kind of an actual living embodiment of the energy 24/7. That's kind of what Saturn in Scorpio has the potential of in terms of you doing energy work. Jupiter in Cancer is going to be trining Saturn in Scorpio at that time. So this is just on the outside of that area where we have the Grand Trine earlier in July and late June. So the Jupiter-Saturn trine, especially Jupiter trining your natal Saturn, bodes well in terms of if you wanted to do this as a business and expand what you do in terms of your energy work and your spiritual work, that would be a good time for you to expand it. I would suggest that if you want to expand, the area for you to expand would be to work with women and pregnant mothers.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think, working with women who are, prenatal and doing energy work and doing Reiki, I think that there's a very large market out there for that. Because,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, because you can work with the energy of the baby prior to the birth of the baby or birth of the child, and they're conscious, they're aware, they know what's going on. So I would urge you to investigate that, look into that, and maybe add that into your practice.
I keep hearing that I'm going to have my own healing modality.
That could be. I mean, sure. I mean, I think a lot of these systems are systems that are points of departure. And it's kind of like, you learn how to play a saxophone, and you learn how to play the scales, and you learn how to play standards. But at some point, if you want to get really good, you got to learn how to improvise. And all the great sax players, took their energy and took their ability into really adventurous realms where they were creating their own techniques, whether it was Charlie Parker with bebop or Ed Coleman with harmonics or whatever, whoever you want to really get into. That's where I think the real great sort of innovators show up. And it's not always easy because you're doing your own thing and kind of blazing your own trail. You're also you're a Sagittarius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great Sagittarius William Blake once said, "I must create a system of my own, or be enslaved by another man's." So it's inherent in the Sagittarius matrix or the Sagittarius codification. So check it out. Create your own thing. But I would also, with that Jupiter transit, with your Saturn, you may want to look at working with women and especially mothers of children who have not been born yet.
Yeah, I'll check into that.
Okay.
Thank you
so
much.
Thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, that's it. We've reached the end of the road. I want to thank LaFaye Farrar for showing up and being a sparkling guest on today's show. And I want to thank everybody for calling in, and I want to thank everybody in the chat room. And I want to thank all of the unseen energies and forces who are most positive, beneficent, and divine, who bless these 120 minutes every single week, so that only the best and brightest and highest information can come flowing through anybody on this end of the microphone towards you. And with that, use your head to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. You've been listening to the Wednesday edition of Free Association Radio, a.k.a. Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'll be back on Friday, and I think I'm going to be playing that 120-minute special of Richard Grossinger and Andrew Harvey dialoguing live in New York. It's a very special conversation. You don't want to miss it. I'm not involved, but they are, and it's exclusive to Free Association Radio. I'm going to be playing that on Friday. All right, I'll see you on Friday. Everybody have a blessed week.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.